Hello, this is Joanna Stack here, Module 6, Unit 1, Activity 1. And today I'm going to unpack a standard, and I will be looking at the Illinois Early Learning Standards for kindergarten. Okay, so why did I choose this standard? Well, I currently live in Taiwan and I was unable to acquire this country's standards, and this is my first time working with standards. So I decided to choose something um, that may be applicable to me in the future. I plan to return home eventually to teach, and yeah, mathematics is the subject I chose. It's an area that sometimes can be a bit difficult for me, just because my school doesn't have very clear standards. So I wanted to explore that a little further. Okay, so let's get into it. Here is the mathematics standard in the state goal that I found for Illinois kindergarten. So let's look at the verbs first. We have demonstrate, apply, and what content it is. Knowledge and sense of numbers, including numeration, operations, and within that, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, patterns, ratios, and proportion. Okay, so that is the goal. And the first learning standard A is, again, demonstrate knowledge and use of numbers and their representations in a broad range of theoretical and practical settings. So they want them to show what they know about numbers in theory and practice. So I think the point of this activity is to look at the standard and kind of break it down and simplify it into a way that is useful for us. So I think that's what I'm taking away from this is students need to show what they know, not only in theory, but also in practice. So let's see. Here are some of the skills that they describe for this standard. And I have highlighted the verbs. So they need to have number recognition. They need to know how to sequence one-to-one correspondence. They need to be able to use ordinals, so first, second, third, fourth. They need to count with understanding, recognize how many in sets. Another verb, identify numerals out of sequence, count forward from 1 to 100, count forward within a range, and match correct numerals with sets of 10. So here are the benchmarks and the descriptors. I found this set of standards to be pretty thorough in what they tell you. They don't only give you the standard, but they also give you the benchmarks and the descriptors, which give you a pretty good idea of what you need to teach exactly. So I really liked this standard and how they broke it down. So here are some activities that I chose for this particular standard. Here's a game that I found, and I've done something similar in the past, but this one is even better because it has various skills within the standard addressed. So in this game, they can do number recognition because they're looking at the numbers. They're counting the dots. They are sequencing because they can put it in order from first, second, third, one, two, three, four, five. Um, they're matching the numbers themselves to the numerals and the English as well. So there's three things going on, and they will need to identify it out of sequence. And this is a game that could be played in their table groups that I've designed, either with struggling and gifted students together to help each other, or I can also do it in homogeneous groups where I can go around and see which groups need help, and they can play the game together. Or it could even be an individual activity if they complete their assignment on time and want to play this game. Here's one activity I found that I think I'm going to try to use this year. We have this book at my school. It's called 10 Little Rubber Ducks, and I found this really great activity where the kids need to put themselves in order in the ordinals. So that's a great sequencing activity, and I really like that they'd be moving around, not just doing a worksheet or something. I try to keep things as hands-on as possible for this age level, and I think this is something they would really enjoy. So that this is my source for that activity, and I think it would be really great for addressing the standard. And the last one is more games for my math centers. that would give me time to do differentiated teaching in the groups. There are a lot of things I found that would help enforce the skills of this standard. And I like that when they're at their centers that I can go to the tier 2 and tier 3 students who need additional assistance with these ideas, and I can provide them that support. And it also gives me an opportunity to challenge the students who need more of a challenge. I can give them more difficult games or some other activities that will challenge them further. How will I assess that they have completed this standard and met it? I will continue to do hand signals. Right now, with my students, I'm doing thumbs up, thumbs down, and sideways. I find that that's the easiest for them to understand. My students are 4 and 5 years old right now. Um, they are starting to get the hang of Fist to Five, but yes, I'll continue doing hand signals to see how they're learning. Really simple exit tickets are possible at this age level, and it's something that helps me get an understanding of what they know, so I would do that. And depending on their level, this is not something I can do right now, but I'd like to use a tech tool such as Plickers to do a formative assessment. For a summative assessment, I'd like to do group projects where they show their knowledge of numbers, uh, maybe a group presentation of a poster that is something to do with numbers. I found a great activity about designing a parade where they put sets and sequence them. So that is something that would be really interesting for them to do and show their artistic capabilities. And possibly a short written assessment, but that's something that I would really have to differentiate for the students because not all of them would be able to do it. So maybe it would be oral or something with pointing or circling, something like that, which would be maybe different for each tier. And that's all. Here's my resource of where I found these standards. And this was just a really tiny part of the mathematics section. There was so much. And I went into a little further in my other assignment, backwards mapping, with the language arts section. But there's so many. And this was a great introduction for me as my first time dealing with standards. Thank you.